accepts
Atma,
the
Supreme Lord.
He,
indeed,
Gunam,
happiness,
Na,
not,
Dosham,
unhappiness,
Na,
nor, Kriyapalam,
Kriyapalam,
the result of any fruitive activity,
the result of any fruitive activity,
Udasinavad, exactly like a neutral man,
Asinaha,
sitting
sitting
in the core of the heart,
Paravaladrik,
seeing the cause and effect, Ishvaraha, Supreme Lord.
the Supreme Lord.
Translation: the Supreme Lord, Atma, the creator of cause and effect, does not accept the happiness and distress that result from fruitive actions. He is completely independent of having to accept a material body, and because he has no material body, he is always neutral. The living entities, being part and parcel of the Lord, possess his qualities in a minute quantity. Therefore, one should not be affected by lamentation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The conditioned soul has friends and enemies. He is affected by the good qualities and the faults of his position. The Supreme Lord, however, is always transcendental because he is the Ishvara, the Supreme Controller. He is not affected by duality. It may therefore be said that he sits in the core of everyone's heart as the neutral witness of the causes and effects of one's activities, good and bad. We should also understand that Udasina, neutral, does not mean that he takes no action. Rather, it means that he is not personally affected. For example, a court judge is neutral when two opposing parties appear before him, but he still takes action as the case warrants. To become completely neutral, indifferent to material activities, we should simply seek shelter at the lotus feet of the supreme neutral person. Maharaj Chitraketu was advised that remaining neutral in such trying circumstances as the death of one's son is impossible. Nevertheless, since the Lord knows how to adjust everything, the best course is to depend upon him and do one's duty in devotional service to the Lord. In all circumstances, one should be undisturbed by duality. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Karmani varikaraste maphaleshu kadachana makarma palayatur bhur mate sangosva karmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. One should execute one's devotional duty, and for the results of one's actions, one should depend upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinam Namaste Saraswati Devam Guruvani Prachani Nirvisheshi Srimati Pushkati. Supreme Lord Atma, the creator of cause and effect, does not accept the happiness and distress that result from fruitive actions. He is completely independent of having to accept a material body, and because he has no material body, he is always neutral. The living entities, being part and parcel of the Lord, possess his qualities in a minute quantity. Therefore, one should not be affected by lamentation. So this is actually a very relevant point addressed here in the purport and in the shloka, that the point of neutrality, anybody saying in a material world I'm neutral is a hypocrite. Because as we read here, because Krishna has no material body, he is always neutral. So the condition for being neutral means that one cannot have material body, because as soon one has a material body, one cannot be neutral. One will be always tied up to the dualities, to discriminate. And one will be always preferring something, rejecting something. That's actually a very dangerous point to this neutrality, which is so popular nowadays. I'm neutral. Switzerland is a neutral country. It just stores all the stolen property from anybody else in there. Sweden is neutral. It just allows Mr. Hitler to shift his weapons to Norway and to destroy it all. We are neutral. We are not taking part in any conflict. We are just facilitating. In Sweden, and in Scandinavia as such, this point of neutrality it's like it's the deity they worship. We are neutral. Nobody is neutral. Nobody. The atrocities committed by the Swedes in the Second World War cannot be even mentioned in words. They defended their neutrality so fiercely that they shot any Finnish person who came across the ocean swimming towards Stockholm with battleships. They were sinking ships, burying children, everything, sinking them. So they cannot be blamed by either Hitler or Stalin that they are actually taking some side. We are very neutral. We shoot everybody who comes here and belongs to somebody. Because to live here, you have to belong to nobody. So there's millions of examples you can use how this myth of neutrality is completely false. But it's so cherished. Why? Well, it's Mayavada at its best. It's just an idea. It's so nice to be neutral. Arjuna also wanted to be neutral. Let them have it. I will go in a forest. I will not give it even to them. I will just abstain from any action. That's neutral. But nobody can abstain from anything in this world. Once we are in this world, we are implicated, one way or another. We are implicated by active or passive offense. There's two kinds of offenses. And the passive one is really dangerous because it looks so peaceful, it looks so nice. He didn't do anything. Yeah, that's exactly what was wrong. He didn't do anything. That's exactly where the offense is. He didn't do anything. And we saw actually even great Vaishnavas being heavily affected by these reactions. Once you are in a position, you should do something. Whereby, again, when you do something, already you follow this advice here, don't be attached to the result. It's not like because you do something, you can stop it. Well, maybe sometimes you cannot stop it. But at least you have to do something. So doing can be done in various ways. And the whole Varnashrama culture has a system how to do things. Shudra is doing things this way, and Vaishya is doing things this way, and Kshatriya doing things this way, and Brahmana does things this way. Brahmana is not supposed to pick up the sword and heading for the battlefield. But he can inspire Kshatriya and explain to him why he should fight. You could say, Krishna assumes, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he was neutral. He offered, peace to Duryodhana and explained to him, you will lose this war more or less. Please, just let's come to a settlement. Krishna was actually going for a settlement. But only when that particular party decided no settlement, then we say, okay, then we take this course of action. You will be all killed here. And Krishna was in one sense neutral. He even offered, there's a story in Mahabharata, I hope I quoted right, that he offered that whoever, Krishna had his private army, and whoever, I see first, while waking up in the morning, in an upcoming conflict, he will get my army. So that was equal conditions for Duryodhana and for Arjuna. So Duryodhana, his name was Duryodhana, right? He was just so eager to get that army of Krishna because he said, then they cannot really win. Because it was like deluxe exclusive army of special unit. So he placed himself on Krishna's head. Then Krishna wakes up, opens the eyes, he will see me first. And Arjuna, being humble, placed himself at Krishna's lotus feet. But that stupid Duryodhana, he didn't understand that when you wake up, and you lie with the head on a cushion, you don't look up, you look down. So the first one who Krishna saw when he woke up was Arjuna. He said, "Oh Arjuna, how nice you came." "Oh, Duryodhana, you are here too." And Duryodhana was flipping out. Wrong place. I put myself in Krishna's head. Wrong place. That's a demonic mentality, always heading for Krishna's face, for Krishna's... We can talk it out. Come on, come on, I want to see God. Show me God, come on. And in this attitude, you never see anything. So Arjuna demonstrated, if you want to see Krishna, you have to place yourself at his lotus feet. So, this neutrality is a complete hoax. It's not one person who is neutral. They think, are you neutral? No. Then I will kill you. But then you are not neutral. If you are neutral, then accept people who don't accept that there is neutrality. Then be neutral. Some people try to live up to that standard. Well, they achieve a certain hashish effect. They become completely, I don't care. I am simply neutral, they connect, I don't care. But this is what Prabhupada writes in the purport. Neutrality means we should also understand that udasina, neutral, does not mean that he takes no action. Rather, it means that he is not personally affected. That's a new definition for neutrality. Neutrality means that you do something without being affected by that. Affected means attachment. Affected to a result. So this is real neutrality. So in this way, like example, devotee can be involved with all kinds of activities. That is even advocated to have sex life with not being affected. Well, that's something to work on. As Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said at the end of his life, now I could have 1,000 babies. And he was a Naishtik brahmachari, he never had sex life. Why? Not affected. Yeah. Family business especially is extremely absorbing field. You have to be absorbed and simultaneously not absorbed. Means you have to run around and protect and supply and and simultaneously perceiving it like something going to work. Yeah. You just do your job. And then one must have one's own life. And that's called spiritual life. Therefore, if there is no spiritual basis to the whole thing, one becomes affected automatically and drawn into the karmic circles. It's very dangerous to be affected because then you are drawn into the karmic circles of another person. He takes you on a spin. Therefore, even the humanists and altruists and all these wonderful people who get involved with this extremely wretched and sinful and demolish people, they also become like that. In the 60s it was popular that the social workers were voluntarily allowing themselves to be locked in jails to find out how the jail inmates feel and how they could actually re-socialize them again into a normal society. Many of them became first-class criminals. Because associating with this very charismatic, very expert and very dynamic criminals, they became affected. They realized what I'm doing here, struggling, some social worker, I could go out and rob a bank, then I have so much money. Maybe I could even help others with that money, but this whole experiment completely failed. Totally. They closed it down. Because, you cannot be unaffected unless you are not entirely depending on Krishna. Entirely. And this is the symptom of a devotee. Whatever happens in his life, he takes shelter in Krishna. He gets praised, oh, Krishna help, they are praising me here. He gets insulted, oh, Krishna, oh, this is refreshing. That's and there is defeat, and there is victory sometimes. And all these things come automatically. And Prabhupada was asked in the morning, what was the worst time of your life? He stopped, looked around, looked in the eyes of the devotee and said, that I don't tell you. And they knew he was going through hell. How is that possible? So many things in his life didn't work out, collapsed. Prabhupada was driven by despair that he was trying to assist his family, which proved to be, finally not very cooperative, as very often family members are, And we can see when Prabhupada was leaving the body, he was still thinking about his children. He was still concerned. Concern doesn't mean that you are attached. You are concerned because this is actually also a very strong element in a Vedic culture. You are responsible. Not only materially, but you are responsible spiritually. So Prabhupada was hankering, my rascal sons, look. They got offered, he tried to involve even his son in such a way that he was actually offering him to buy books on credit and make business with his books, becoming a book distributor, So they gave him a book, Tamal Maharaj supervised that, they gave him a shipment of books, and the books got spaced out. I was very angry, So it was very discouraging on all levels. He said, my wife was a pious lady, Yeah. But two elements were there. Very spoiled and not very intelligent. Usually it goes together. Prabhupada said once in course of his Grihastha ashrama, they settled down in the house of her parents. Prabhupada said, I realized this was a big mistake. She became so puffed up and so arrogant, while living in a house of her parents, so we moved out again. So Prabhupada had his defeats, definitely, And then finally, Krishna took it so nicely apart and everything in front of him. There was only one way to go. To just go and preach to the last breath. And finally, that instruction he carried. Prabhupada said each single day, I remember that instruction, go and preach to English-speaking people. And Prabhupada said many times, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj appeared in my dreams calling me to take sannyas. Prabhupada said, I was horrified. I couldn't picture how I can from this situation get into that situation. Finally, things became so clear that there was only one thing to do. Just go on that ship and go to America. And in that age, start with something which it's like you picture yourself tomorrow, end up in Beijing, and you open a temple in Beijing, that's it. Finished. No support, nobody. There was never one person chanting in whole China. And you are supposed to start a temple. There were devotees were constantly put into the situations by Prabhupada. And they were very courageous because they saw Prabhupada doing the same. That's how they started. So, it's you cannot imagine even the despair, materially spoken, a completely hopeless undertaking. It's just, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But when Krishna is pleased, he will lift the devotee out of that, and cut the last bits of attachment around him. It's like, and even devotee tries to reach for something, still, in effect, no, some emotion came out. That's nice, bang! Krishna arranges, it becomes so discouraging, so ugly and so disgusting that you have no hard time to renounce it immediately. This is Krishna's mercy. That actually he makes the environment for devotees so discouraging. At the end you can see the example of the Pandavas. Despite winning the Kurukshetra, despite having a big kingdom, Krishna left. And they were so uninspired, without Krishna, here to manage. So finally they just left direction north, direction Himalaya, and one after another dropped dead. That's called to be detached, that's really noetral. You just walk until you die. You try to do that. It's not at all easy, because you will see so many things, and you will get thirsty and hungry, and even the biggest Mayavadi in this world has the need to socialize. So Mayavadis also flock together and discuss how nice it is to be, not to be, They are very excited to discuss how they are nothing, yeah. But they share this, they share it together how they are nothing. I mean, if you are nothing, why do you meet at all? You cannot meet nothing. They go, you are so effulgent when you are nothing, It's really, it's so nice how you are nothing. And they really, it's completely contradictory. So to be and simultaneously not to be. This is the whole secret. So we are in this world, we cannot run away from it. We cannot be neutral in that sense that we negate the whole thing that happens around us. We have to take part. And that brings pleasure, pain, defeat, fame, enemies. Prabhupada writes, everybody has his share of friends and enemies. They will come completely on their own. And the more responsible position you assume, the more elegant it will be. There will be people coming out of nowhere, people you didn't even met in your life, and say, you destroyed my life. You. And you go, who is you? I never met you in my life. Can we at least introduce each other first? That's very customary in the ISKCON world, that people just come out of nowhere and just and then go again. It's called Vaishnava Sangha. You go, hey, where did he come from? Couldn't we at least say hello before we start to beat each other? Yeah. It's amazing. It's the peak of savageness you can imagine. Some savage comes in a village and just burns the house, rapes the woman and goes again. This is the culture we came from, It's culture, Prabhupada. Culture is at least like you see in a Kurukshetra. Even there were clearly enemies. There was a style. First there was the introduction, which was also loaded with insults already, to warm up the atmosphere. Oh, less brain one, coming from the country where the women have shape of horses, like this. And the other one was, and you, But at least there was a personal introduction, When they got really warmed up, then they started to kill each other, That's personalism, okay? Actually, when you read Kurukshetra battle, it's full of personal exchanges. It's extremely personal, It's like, hello, I will cut now your head. No, I will cut your head first, And it's very, therefore, Kshatriya combat, it's never just going around and killing people. It's man on man. Even in the middle of the battle, it's a, one-on-one, Yeah. That's always like that. So therefore, as soon as he turns your back around, you cannot fight him. Yeah. You can fight a Kshatriya only from the front. That's called personal. You have to look at me while I'm killing you. Not running back and then stabbing him in the back, and this is called savage. And only during the day, not at night. As soon as the sun goes down, thank you very much for the participation, and the battle is over. You can even go to the opposing camp and ask for a little bit salt, and have your meal. So this is culture. We don't have that culture, because we are coming from this savage type, Mayavada, pseudo-neutralism. Neutralism is, I don't care. That's neutral, yeah. That's the Mayavadas. You can die in front of me, I don't care. I don't care what you think, I don't care what you feel. What are you actually going to do for me? I'm going to please my senses or not? Everybody is in this. Everybody. I love you because I want to love you. I have the feeling, the need to love somebody, and therefore come here. I will love you now. You don't come here, then I hate you. It's as simple as that. Everybody is out there simply to serve their desire, my desire. And if it's not met, the conditions are not fulfilled, get out. Get out. Anything. So we spoke with Gauranga before you went out. You can show on the street how they walk. Everybody has their own desire to fulfill. Nobody cares. And even those who care pathetically, they have the desire to care. This is their desire. They will care for something, somebody. It's not really that person. But that transcendental personalism, that's a completely different thing. Once we really get connected to Krishna, and we get connected to his paths, then the real exchanges can take place. And you reach it in Charitamrita. Things are so personal. The devotees are only knowing when other devotee, before he arrives, they only know he is arriving. They can start to feel his presence. And the exchanges between devotees are so warm-hearted. And they are so distinct and so particular in their nature. How Lord Chaitanya relates to Ramananda Roy and how he relates to Advaita Acharya, and it's all full of this rasas and exchanges, and it's all like, positive and negative sometimes. But it's that's the real personality. But this world is power, as Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, a fear of personal identity, which takes all kinds of shapes. Therefore Mayavada is so suitable, so comfortable, because it frees us seemingly from the responsibility to be personal. Personalism, it's a problem, yeah. Personalism is a big problem, because you don't know what you get. When you are neutral, you know what you get. You get nothing. That's nice. But when you are personal, you invest, your feelings, you invest your energy, you invest even your money, you invest everything into that person. You never know what you get back. Because material world is like that. You cannot calculate. You cannot project the result. And several people rather prefer this impersonal mush, which is in essence animalistic. Even animals sometimes, they take very personal, higher grade animals, they just, sometimes, just had an experience with a dog who is completely in love with a hedgehog. Hedgehog is not something very lovable, it's a ball with nails running around, But the dog couldn't understand that this is not possible. But it was completely fascinated by the hedgehog, tried to dig him out, and my hedgehog, just projecting its feeling, to love somebody. Actually, my hedgehog, and the hedgehog was like, there's a dog here, Hedgehogs are not very fast, They have the only protection there is the nails. So when the dog comes, my hedgehog, and goes through the nail. Just a ball of nails. And the dog goes, oh, come on, come up, I love you. Animals have sometimes but amazing demand for personalism. But again, it's powered by the need. Like if a preacher is powered by his personal need, immediately the whole preaching becomes compromised. Usually ends up in trouble. Like the need to show off, the need to dominate, the need to assist even. There's a need, to need to protect. Immediately the whole preaching becomes compromised. To need to share and all this. So preaching is a responsible task. To be in it and simultaneously not. And that we saw in Srila Prabhupada. He was he said, he was so open and he was so sharing and he was so loving. And simultaneously, he was standing on his own ground. He was anytime able just to, though he could sit in the middle of this crazy hippies, and he was just completely doing his own thing. And then he came out and he was very nice. Sometimes it happened, in the midst of in public functions, the Prabhupada was so overpowered by ecstasy of relating to Krishna that he just lost contact with the public. And manifested some symptom of ecstasy. And that was momentums which were just unforgettable. Even the last stupid person in that public understood this man is going through something very special.